The sky darkened as massive alien ships emerged from hyperspace, blocking out the sun over Earth's major cities. Massive metallic structures, each kilometers long, descended with terrifying precision, casting ominous shadows across continents. Commander G1 Park stood in the underground Global Defense Command Center, her eyes fixed on the holographic displays showing the invasion's progression. Surrounding her were military personnel, scientists, and communication specialists, their faces a mixture of tension and calculated determination. The Xornax fleet approached with cold, mathematical efficiency. Their ships looked like giant metallic insects, angular and sharp, designed for pure destruction. Smaller fighter craft swarmed around the main vessels like deadly worker ants, ready to eliminate any resistance. In Seoul, Tokyo, New York, and London, people watched in horror as the first wave of alien dropships began their devastating descent. Energy weapons carved through buildings, turning concrete and steel into molten fragments. Military defense systems attempted counterattacks, but they seemed pathetically inadequate against the alien technology. "They believe we are defenseless," G1 whispered to Captain Hyun Kim, her closest strategic advisor. Her fingers moved quickly across holographic interfaces, tracking every alien movement. Within hours, major infrastructure collapsed. Communication networks flickered and died. Millions were evacuated, cities burned, and humanity seemed on the brink of total annihilation. The Xornax commander, a towering creature named Krell, broadcast a chilling message across global frequencies. Humanity will surrender or be completely eradicated. Your civilization ends today. But beneath the chaos, something was brewing. The seemingly helpless human response was carefully orchestrated. Every destroyed communication tower, every fallen defense system was part of a larger, more complex plan. Captain Kim noticed something unusual in the alien attack patterns. Their precision was almost mathematical, leaving specific corridors and zones untouched. To an untrained eye, it looked random. But to strategic minds like G1 and Hyun, these patterns suggested something more. In underground facilities spread across different continents, teams of scientists and military strategists were working furiously. They weren't just defending, they were preparing a response that the aliens could never anticipate. The first day of invasion revealed the Xornax's technological superiority. Their energy weapons could vaporize tanks. Their shields could deflect nuclear strikes. Their computational systems could predict and neutralize most human defense strategies. But what the aliens didn't understand was human unpredictability. Humans didn't follow logical patterns. They were emotional, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary innovation under extreme pressure. As destruction rained from the skies, small resistance groups began emerging. Not with weapons, but with complex communication devices, data transmission equipment, and sophisticated electronic warfare tools. They moved like shadows, setting up temporary networks, gathering intelligence, and preparing for something big. Commander G1 watched the global map, her eyes calculating every alien movement. Each destroyed city, each fallen military base was not a defeat, but a carefully planned sacrifice. The Xornax believed they were winning, but they were walking into an elaborate trap. "They think they've won," G1 told her team. "But they have no idea what's coming." The invasion continued. More cities fell. Millions were displaced. To the entire world, it looked like humanity was on the verge of total extinction. The Xornax fleet continued its systematic destruction, confident in their technological supremacy. But underneath the burning cities and falling infrastructure, something was brewing. A plan so complex, so unexpected that it would change the course of not just this battle, but potentially the entire future of human-alien interactions. The first day of invasion was ending. Darkness fell across a wounded planet. The Xornax celebrated their apparent victory, unaware that humanity was just beginning to fight back. In the underground command center, Commander G1 Park allowed herself a slight smile. The real battle was about to begin. As the alien invasion continued, humanity's true strategy began to emerge from the shadows. In hidden underground facilities spread across different continents, teams of scientists, engineers, and military strategists worked with intense focus. Captain Hyun Kim moved through a secret research complex beneath the mountains of South Korea. Rows of computer screens flickered with complex data streams, showing intricate networks that seemed to dance and reconfigure constantly. Most of the equipment looked damaged, but this was intentional. To the outside world, and especially to the alien invaders, these facilities appeared destroyed or abandoned. The Xornax believed they had crushed human communication infrastructure. What they didn't realize was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Secret international research programs, funded quietly by governments and private organizations, had been developing technologies specifically designed to counter potential alien threats. In one section of the facility, a team led by Dr. Eun-Ji Park worked on a breakthrough communication disruption system. Their device looked like a complex network of quantum processors, each one capable of sending and receiving signals through methods the aliens couldn't comprehend. "We're not just blocking their signals," Dr. Park explained to her team. "We're creating a communication weapon that will turn their own technology against them." Across the world, similar hidden facilities were coming to life. In an underground bunker in Brazil, researchers were developing biological adaptation technologies. In a converted nuclear submarine off the coast of Canada, communication specialists were decoding alien transmission patterns. The key to humanity's strategy was unpredictability. The Xornax relied on mathematical precision and logical warfare strategies. Humans, with their emotional complexity and creative thinking, could do something entirely unexpected. Captain Kim reviewed the global resistance network. Small groups were positioning sophisticated electronic warfare devices in seemingly random locations. Destroyed cities weren't just sites of devastation, they were now complex communication nodes, disguised and hidden from alien scanners. One remarkable development was the global civilian response. People who seemed helpless were actually part of an intricate information-gathering network. Social media, normally used for sharing photos and messages, had been transformed into a sophisticated intelligence-gathering system. Every smartphone, every communication device is now a potential weapon, Hen told his team. "The aliens think they've destroyed our technology. But we're using their own invasion against them." Underground quantum communication networks began to activate. These were not traditional communication systems. They used principles of quantum entanglement that could transmit information instantaneously, making them undetectable by conventional scanning methods. Dr. Park's team had discovered a critical vulnerability in the alien communication systems. Their technology, while advanced, relied on a centralized network with specific frequency ranges. By creating a communication weapon that could exploit these specific frequencies, humanity could potentially cause massive disruption. The preparation wasn't just technological. Military strategists were developing psychological warfare techniques specifically designed to confuse and destabilize the alien command structure. They studied alien communication patterns, cultural structures, and behavioral algorithms. In the underground facility, a massive holographic display showed the global situation. Red zones indicated alien-controlled territories. But hidden within these zones were dozens of resistance points, each preparing for the next phase of the human counterattack. Commander Ji-won Park watched the preparations with calm determination. The first phase of the invasion had been about survival. This phase was about fighting back. "They think they've won," she told Captain Kim. "But they have no idea what's coming." The hidden preparations continued. Each hour, each minute was carefully planned. The aliens believed they were facing a defeated civilization. They didn't realize they were walking into a trap designed by the most adaptable, innovative species in the galaxy. Humanity was not just preparing to survive. They were preparing to send a message that would echo through the stars: you cannot defeat a species that refuses to be defeated. As the alien ships continued their destruction, the real battle was being prepared in the shadows. And when it would be unleashed, the Xornax would never see it coming. The moment of counterattack arrived with surgical precision. Admiral Suk Lee stood in the underground command center, his weathered hands hovering over a complex quantum interface that looked more like an art installation than a weapon system. "Activate primary quantum disruptor," he commanded. Across the globe, hidden technology came to life. What appeared to be destroyed communication towers suddenly pulsed with strange energy. The Xornax had methodically eliminated Earth's traditional communication infrastructure, believing they had crushed humanity's ability to coordinate. They were wrong. The first wave of the counterattack wasn't violent. It was informational. Complex algorithmic signals began spreading through alien communication networks, designed to look like harmless data packets. Each signal carried a microscopic piece of code that would slowly infiltrate the alien technological systems. In the research facility beneath the Korean mountains, Dr. Eun Ji Park watched her team's creation unfold. The quantum disruptor wasn't just a weapon, it was a living, breathing technological organism that could adapt, learn, and transform. Target identified, a computer voice announced. The alien fleet's communication networks began experiencing strange anomalies. Small glitches appeared, a communication channel would momentarily freeze, a navigation system would show incorrect data, a weapon targeting system would suddenly shift its coordinates. The Xornax commanders first thought these were minor technical issues. They didn't realize each glitch was a carefully designed attack, slowly eroding their technological superiority. Captain Hyun Kim monitored global resistance networks. Small human teams were positioned strategically, each carrying specialized electronic warfare devices. They looked like ordinary people, farmers, city workers, students, but they were now humanity's most advanced technological soldiers. Stage 2 initiating, Kim whispered into his communication device. The quantum disruptor began its second phase. It wasn't just disrupting alien communications, it was learning from them. Every transmission, every signal was being analyzed, decoded, and understood. The human-created technology was essentially becoming smarter with each alien communication attempt. Alien fighter ships started experiencing strange malfunctions. Navigation systems would suddenly show incorrect star maps. Weapon targeting would become inexplicably inaccurate. Communication between ships became fragmented and confusing. Commander Ji-won Park watched the holographic displays showing the technological counterattack. What looked like random disruptions was actually a carefully choreographed dance of technological warfare. The Xornax had assumed human technology was primitive. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength was adaptability. While the aliens had perfect, mathematical systems, humans had creative, unpredictable networks that could evolve in real time. "We're not just fighting," Ji-won told her team. "We're teaching them a lesson about underestimating humanity." The quantum disruptor entered its most dangerous phase. It wasn't just disrupting alien technology, it was beginning to turn their own systems against them. Alien ships started receiving conflicting commands. Some weapons systems began targeting their own fleet. Panic started spreading through the alien command structure. Their technological superiority, which had crushed countless civilizations, was suddenly becoming their greatest weakness. Dr. Park's team had designed the disruptor to be more than a weapon. It was a message. A demonstration of human ingenuity. Each line of code carried not just technical instructions, but a philosophical challenge to the alien understanding of technological superiority. Total system infiltration at 67%, a computer voice announced. The Xornax fleet, which had looked unstoppable hours earlier, was now a confused, fragmented force. Their perfect mathematical systems were being overwhelmed by human creativity, by code that didn't follow expected patterns. Admiral Lee allowed himself a small smile. The technological counterattack was working perfectly. Humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was showing the universe what human innovation truly meant. The battle was far from over. But in these moments, humanity had transformed from a seemingly defeated species to a technological force that could not be easily conquered. The real message was clear: you have no idea what humans are capable of. Part 4, the final transmission. The old radio sat in the corner of Jin's basement, covered in a thin layer of dust. It had belonged to his grandfather, who claimed it sometimes picked up strange signals from faraway places that shouldn't exist. Jin never believed those stories until tonight. As the storm raged outside, the power flickered and died across the neighborhood. Jean lit candles and went to check on the radio, curious if the old battery-powered device still worked. When he turned it on, instead of static, he heard a clear voice speaking English with an accent he couldn't place. "This is Station Omega. If anyone receives this transmission, please respond. We have been stranded for 3 months. Our coordinates are unknown." Gene stared at the radio in disbelief. His hands shook as he pressed the transmission button. "Hello? This is Gene. I can hear you." Silence followed, then the voice returned, excited. "Someone's there. Thank God. We've been sending messages for weeks." The man identified himself as Dr. Marcus Chen, leader of a research team that had been studying strange weather patterns when their equipment detected an anomaly. They followed it into a storm and somehow ended up elsewhere. "The sky here is green, and there are 2 suns," Dr. Chen explained. "Our compasses don't work. Our GPS shows impossible coordinates. We can't find our way back." Gene asked questions, trying to understand how he could help. Dr. Chen said their radio was losing power, and this might be their last chance to send a message home. "If you receive this, please alert the authorities. Tell them about our research on dimensional rifts. The data is on a server at Cambridge University under project name Threshold." The connection grew weaker. Dr. Chen's voice broke up between bursts of static. "There's something important you need to know," Dr. Chen continued, his voice now barely audible. "The storms are connected. They're doorways between worlds. We think they're appearing more frequently because of." The transmission cut off. Gene called out, adjusting dials frantically, but heard only static. Then, a new sound emerged from the radio, not a voice, but a strange humming that grew louder. It filled the room with a vibration Gene could feel in his chest. Outside, the storm changed. The rain stopped suddenly. Gene looked out the window and saw the clouds swirling in an unnatural pattern, forming a perfect spiral in the sky. His phone lit up with emergency alerts. The same strange weather pattern was being reported worldwide. Gene rushed back to the radio, trying to re-establish contact. Instead, he heard fragments of different transmissions, voices speaking in languages he didn't recognize, music unlike anything he'd heard before, and occasional words in English that made no sense together. The last clear transmission came through as the storm reached its peak. "The doorways are opening. They're all connecting now. Be ready." Then the radio died completely. Gene tried the power button, checked the batteries, but nothing worked. The storm outside stopped as suddenly as it had changed. When Gene looked out the window again, the spiral was gone. The night sky cleared, revealing stars that seemed brighter than before. Gene spent the rest of the night writing down everything he remembered from the transmission. In the morning, he would try to find someone who would believe him. As dawn broke, Gene's phone connected to the internet again. News reports were coming in about the strange storm phenomenon observed globally. Scientists were puzzled by the perfect spiral formations seen in weather systems across the planet. No one mentioned Station Omega or Dr. Chen. Gene looked up Project Threshold at Cambridge but found nothing. The radio remained silent, no matter what Gene tried. But sometimes, when the night is very quiet, he thinks he can hear a faint humming coming from it, a reminder that somewhere, beyond the boundaries of our world, someone had reached out one last time before the connection was lost forever. Gene couldn't sleep for days after the strange radio transmission. The words from Station Omega played over and over in his mind. He searched online for information about Dr. Marcus Chen or Project Threshold but found nothing. 1 week after the storm, Gene noticed something odd. Small objects in his house moved when he wasn't looking. His keys weren't where he left them. Books changed position on shelves. At first, he blamed his lack of sleep. Then the dreams started. Each night, Gene saw the green sky and 2 suns that Dr. Chen had described. In these dreams, he walked across an empty landscape toward a distant building. He always woke up before reaching it. On the 10th day, Gene received an unmarked package. Inside was a small device that looked like a compass, but its needle spun wildly, never pointing north. There was no note, no explanation. That same day, Gene noticed a woman watching his house from across the street. When he went outside to confront her, she walked away quickly. He followed but lost her when she turned a corner. The next morning, Gene found a note pushed under his door. The radio is a beacon. They know you heard. Meet me at the library. Back corner. 2 p.m. Gene debated whether to go. It could be dangerous. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. At the library, an elderly man sat waiting in the back corner. He introduced himself only as Weber. You spoke to them, Weber said. It wasn't a question. Gene nodded. I heard them 30 years ago, Weber explained. There are others like us. People who received transmissions during storms. Weber belonged to a small group that called themselves listeners. They had been tracking the transmissions for decades, gathering information about the other side. The storms are getting more frequent, Weber said. And now they're synchronized worldwide. Something is changing. He showed Gene a journal filled with notes and drawings. Maps of places that didn't exist on Earth. Descriptions of creatures glimpsed through brief visual connections. We think the barriers between worlds are thinning, Weber said. Dr. Chen's team wasn't the first to cross over, but they might be the last to make contact. Gene asked why Weber had sought him out. Because something followed your transmission back, Weber said quietly. Something came through during that storm. Weber explained that sometimes, when contact was made, things could pass through in both directions. The moving objects in Jin's house, the strange compass, the watching woman, all signs that something had crossed over. We need to find it before the next storm, Weber said. Because we think it's building something, a more permanent doorway. Gene agreed to help. Weber gave him special glasses designed to see things that existed between states. When Gene put them on, the world looked slightly different. Shadows had edges. Air currents were visible as faint lines. For the next 2 weeks, Gene and Weber searched the area around Jin's neighborhood. They found strange markings on trees and unusual burn patterns on the ground. The compass needle pointed consistently toward the city park. Weather reports warned of another unusual storm system forming. The night before the storm, Gene and Weber went to the park. With the special glasses, Gene saw it, a shimmering distortion near the old bandstand. Something like a doorway was taking shape in the air. A figure stood near it, the woman who had been watching Jin's house. Except through the glasses, she didn't look entirely human. Her edges blurred into the air around her. She's building a gateway, Weber whispered. We have to stop it before the storm completes it. They approached carefully. The woman turned, her eyes reflecting light like mirrors. She spoke, but her voice sounded like the strange humming from the radio. Weber pulled out a device and pointed it at the forming doorway. It emitted a high-pitched sound. The doorway wavered. The woman moved toward them with unnatural speed. Gene raised the compass, remembering Weber's instructions. The needle spun wildly, then locked in the woman's direction. A beam of light shot from the compass. The woman froze. The doorway collapsed in on itself with a sound like thunder. As the first raindrops of the new storm fell, the woman's form dissolved into the air. Where she had stood, a small object remained. A badge with the words Station Omega and a symbol Gene recognized from his dreams. It's not over, Weber said, picking up the badge. They'll try again. Gene nodded, looking up at the gathering storm clouds. Somewhere beyond them, Dr. Chen and his team were still lost. And now, Gene realized, so was a part of him, the part that had once believed in a simple, understandable world.